Continuing on with exercise 12.4. I don't really remember what page I'm on. I guess I could check. All these are around 592. Yeah, 591. These problems have been 591, and now we're on 592 page. Starting exercise 12.4, we're still again in relevant costing decision making. This problem is considered a special order. Exercise 12.4 is a special order, but it's the same concept. You're just going to be looking at the relevant revenues and relevant expenses. In this case, though, when anybody usually comes to you and says, I want to give you a special order, the decision is, again, future costs and future revenues. Do you see the logic in it? Future costs and future revenues that will be different than today, now. You're gonna look at any situation like this, say, what are they going to pay me? My incremental future cost. Do you see? Incremental future cost. The incremental means it's going to change. Incremental means by itself, that's relevant. Incremental future costs, those are going to change. So when you get a special order, you're employing exactly what you've learned, try and look for relevant costs. What are relevant costs? Well, you look at the special order and you say, what are the incremental money I'm going to make? Compare that to the incremental money I'm going to spend. I'll know if it's worth doing. So let's read through this. That's what we're going to do. This is a jeweler, and the manufacturer sells gold bracelet for $189.95. The company's blah, 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 I don't know what that says. The company's, oh, that says computer system. The company's computer system. The company's computer system says that the unit product cost for this bracelet is $149. To make the bracelet, this is direct materials, takes $84. Direct labor is $45, and then it says overhead. Now, it says this is all overhead, which is variable and fixed, and later on in the problem, it tells us somewhere, it says $4 of the overhead is variable. That's very important. Let's write that down even bigger, variable. Do you remember what variable overhead is? It's mostly electricity. Now, to make something like a gold bracelet, think of it, you know, when they make the gold bracelet, they're going to be using intricate tools, and many of them are going to be power. They're going to be power tools that, again, shave and blade and shine, and some of them are going to be things that cut. Other things are going to be cutting maybe and molding little hooks or attachment devices that hold the jewels and the diamonds. So again, that's what that electricity is going to be on for those tools, but also it's going to need glue and adhesives and chemical cleaners to, again, clean up those metals before they give you the diamond bracelet. So that's all what's in that $4. But then you know that if 4 of the 20 is variable, then what? You know that, again, the fixed must be 16. And you know what's in that, right? That fixed is always what? Heat, light, utilities, and depreciation for the plant. That's almost always. You can't change that plant, not unless you shut that plant down. And that's usually not the plan for most successful companies. Their plan isn't, gee, how can we really, reduce production to the point where we shut the plant down? That's usually, people that are hired to come in and do that are usually, I think, they're kind of last hope type of management to do that. But anyway, this is what it costs to make one of these gold rings. And again, it costs $149, but remember, they normally sell it for $189. What is that? That's $40 profit, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, now there's a wedding party. Woo, a wedding party. I love to go to weddings. The members of a wedding party have approached Imperial Jewelers about buying 20. So somebody comes along and says, I want to buy 20 of the... Now, by the way, I cut this off. I have to write this because this doesn't have a big enough screen. But they're going to buy 20 of the gold bracelets. But they want to buy them for cheaper. They want to buy them for $169.95. There's more to this, though, you can see. The members of the wedding party would like a special filigree. Oh, they want a filigree. Oh. Well, I'll tell you something. A filigree is, I don't know what a filigree is. Do you? Well, I happened to look it up before class because I didn't know what a filigree is. Filigree is like it's like lace, some little lace, and usually they'll put it in there with wire, or they can carve it in. But it's a little lace pattern, or it can be a little piece of twisted metal that creates like a lacy pattern. I don't know which it is, but anyway, some kind of lacy pattern applied to the bracelets. And they would require the jeweler to buy a special tool Now this I like. I always like buying another tool, ask my wife. Anyway, for $250, ew, that's a lot. So again, it's gonna cost them $250 for this new tool, but that's not bad for a good tool. And then that would increase the direct materials cost, or hold it, I didn't read that right. And to put the little filigree on there, it would take more materials, and that would cost $2. So that's another thing. Do you see, when we're doing this analysis, you should be thinking, oh, those are different. This is different. If it's different, it's usually what? Relevant, because it's changing. That sounds relevant. That isn't the same as before. That's relevant. And again, they're going to still pay them $169.95. Those are future dollars that are different. That's relevant. These all sound relevant to me. The special tool, though, it would have no other use. No other use. Well, I'll tell you something. I don't mind buying another tool. I can find something to do, and maybe it would. But anyway, it says there's no other use. So the bottom line is you can't use it for anything else. The money is gone. But it's definitely going to be related to this order. To analyze this special order opportunity, Imperial Jewelers has determined that most of its manufacturing overhead is fixed and unaffected by this. So they're not going to have to spend any more on heat, light, and utilities. Same big plant sitting out there, nothing changes. So again, then it says, however, $4, as we learned before, is variable. And that means 16, because it has to add to 20, is fixed. And again, the overhead is variable with respect to the number of bracelets produced. The company also believes that accepting this special order would have no effect on its ability to produce and sell jewelry to other customers. You always got to worry about that. Remember, if I let a student in this class in this college for $5,000 and that student tells another student that they got in for $5,000, it can affect your customers. They can become very disgruntled. So you don't really want your other customers to know that they might be giving them a discount. So again, it says this would have no effect on its ability to produce and sell jewelry to other customers. Furthermore, and I say, the company could fulfill the wedding party's order using its capacity. In other words, they're saying the plant is not over capacity. They've got enough people already working there that they can make these with existing people and resources. All right, what is the financial advantage or disadvantage of doing this? Well, again, usually to do something like this, this is exercise where we say 12 dash, is this 4? All right, this is 12.4, and this is a special order. I usually always, you can do these different ways, but the best way, I think, is to do it this way. Just take the incremental. Remember, incremental revenues minus incremental costs. And that will either equal the advantage or disadvantage. So incremental revenues minus incremental costs. Well, let's look again. That's not too bad. What's the incremental revenues? What are we going to charge these guys? What did we say we'd charge them? Just kind of, we're going to give them $169.95. That's not much of a discount. $20, $69.79. Yeah, give them $20. $169.95. So let's do that. $169.95 times 20. I don't know what that is. I think it's about 169.95 times 20 is, there's your incremental revenue, $3,399. All right, and that's a relevant cost. If you don't take the order, you take the order or you don't take the order. Do you see? There's two decisions here. Don't take it and do. If you do take the order, what do you get? If you do take the order, you get an incremental revenue of $13.99. Now let's go over and take a look about what if we again take the order. What's the incremental cost? All right, let's go back to make that ring. Let's do it this way. We know to make the rings cost all the same and then even more. It takes this direct material. We know every ring takes, again, direct material of $84, but there's more direct materials. Do you guys remember they told us in here, not only will we have to spend, every time we make a ring, we've got to spend $84 on materials. Let's put this in dollars. But now they said there was going to be $2 more, didn't they? They said, yeah, $2. There's going to be $2 more. It's for that little filigree. You don't want to forget the filigree. Anyway, it's for that little filigree. And then we've got direct labor. Well, do you guys see that if you make these rings out in the future, you're going to have to pay your laborers? Uh-oh. We've got an emergency, yeah. So we're still going to have to give men and women $45. Every time they make a ring, they get paid $45. So let's give them their money for labor. All right, let's see. Manufacturing overhead. Don't use this one. Don't use the 16. Do you remember again, it's irrelevant? Because whether that 16 doesn't change. The fixed overhead is going to be the same whether you accept this offer or don't accept it. Fixed costs don't change. But guess what will change? Every time you make a ring, you're going to need to make it with electricity. You're going to have to put in a little bit of glue or adhesive to hold those jewels in there. You're going to have to probably put in some, as I said, maybe some adhesive. You might have to put in some chemicals to clean the jewels off after you put adhesive on it. So again, that's what's in that $4. And guess what? You're going to have to spend that. That's the VOH, the VO. That's the variable overhead. Mostly electricity, but some other small stuff. Was there anything else? I think that was it. That accounted for the materials. Oh, there was that $250 for that. Now let's not unitize that. That's a total. We could unitize it. Let's leave it the way it is. $250. Let's take these. What's this add up to make a ring? 84, 85, I don't know. That's 12, 120. What have I got? 120, 131. That's 135. It costs us per ring 135. We're going to make 20 rings. That's 2 times 13. That's going to be 2,700, I think. Yeah, I think that's 2,700, isn't it? I believe so. I'll double check it. 20. Yeah, 2,700. It's going to cost us $2,700 to make those rings, but we know that for the whole order, we've got to spend $250 more. Let's not unitize that. Let's keep it in total just the way it was. $250 more, that's for the tool. And this gets us to $2,950, and there's our incremental cost. Now let's marry these two up. Here's your incremental revenues. $3,399 is what you're going to get. There's your revenues. There's your incremental costs. So what's your advantage? Well, your costs do look lower to me. They're lower by, what is this, $450? $449 if you take the difference. So this is, again, incremental. This is incremental. This is an advantage. They said it's an advantage or disadvantage. You're going to be better off. See, there's your cost. There's your revenue. You're going to have $449 extra. So in this one it says, what is the financial advantage of accepting the special order from the wedding party? The advantage, let me put it here. That's your advantage. The financial advantage is $449. Should the company accept the special offer? Well, I would say, now in real life, you're going to really have to analyze this. I mean, you really have to take into consideration, do you think we'd alienate our other customers? Here's what I would think. I'd say do it, and then I would try and use that tool to make other rings that have filaments. And then I would also try and market this. I'd say, well, you know what, maybe there's other people getting married. People like to get married. Seems like it's real popular. Real popular thing, this marriage deal. Why don't we try and go and market this to other marriages? Maybe again we could, again put this in Wedding Magazine, or don't put it in Divorce Magazine. Anyway, but we could go advertise this and try and get somebody to buy some more of these. But there may be some disadvantage. I don't know. You'd have to talk with other people and say, well, we don't want to start discounting our jewelry. It's high end, and that's considered again below us. I don't know. But there's the advantage. Should the company accept the offer? Again, write it like this. Let's see here. Write it in a full sentence. Let's do, this is number 2. Say, the company should accept, and say what offer it is, should accept the offer to make and sell 20 gold rings with the special filament. Is that what they called that thing? Oh, filigree. F-I-L-I-G-R-E-E. Filigree. Do you agree? I do more than agree. I filigree. I totally filigree. Okay, so that's, right out of full sentence. The company should accept the offer to make and sell 20 gold rings with a special filigree. Check my time on that. All right, that's all this one, exercise 12.4. Now we'll do 5, 6, and 7, and we'll be done with the chapter. But again, I'm employing these. This is a great chapter, so I am going to hit it with a lot of questions. It's worth learning. It really is good stuff worth learning. All right, let me stop for a second till we get to the next one. Still continuing with chapter 12, getting closer to the end. We're still working on relevant and irrelevant costs and decision making. We're working 12.5. It's on page 592. And it was mislabeled. They said there was volume decisions, but if you go read it, they label each one at the very beginning as to what it's about, but this one's really about constrained resources. And as usual, I can't project this, so these, actually I had to add these. Everything in green really is just, lack of projection width. So again, in other words, it says the company to cut back its plastic pellets, anyway. All right, this is again going to deal with, this is, I think, an interesting one in that we're going to be given some products, and they're going to show us that they're very profitable. But then we're going to find out that everything's relative. What I mean by that is you can say, well, this is my most profitable product. Well, what if I tell you that was your most profitable product, but it takes a lot of some ingredient, and I tell you now all of a sudden that you don't have very much of that ingredient left. And let's say you have another product that is not nearly as profitable, but it doesn't take as much of the key ingredient. It may very well be that relative to the fact that you are short on that material, you don't have enough, it's better off for you to make the unprofitable product because you can make more of it. And this deals again with a constrained resource. And it really is intuitive once you think about it. But again, it deals with making a decision and saying, what is the money I'm making? Again, what's relevant, and also what's relative. Relative means how can things change? Again, I can have something that's profitable, but what will happen when I have a change in my relative position as to how much I have of any resource? Again, relative to the resources you have, things can change their profitability. Now in this one, this company actually makes these things. You've seen them. They're a ski guard, a golf guard, and a fishing guard. These are those plastic containers. You ever go to the airport and you're flying, and some guy comes up and he's got a big plastic long thing, and inside of it are skis. It's luggage for skis. And then they have the luggage for the golf clubs. Again, you put your golf clubs in, you can put them on an airplane or put them in the back of a truck or a bus. And then they have for fishing poles too. I'll tell you who has that fishing pole one. It's the guy that does, Wade, isn't that his name? And he does River Monsters. Yeah, River Monsters. Anyway, he has a fishing guard. All that gear he carries, it's in plastic. But anyway, take a look. They have one that sells for $200. The variable cost, now the variable cost has the direct materials, has the direct labor, it has variable overhead, and it has variable selling and administrative in it. All the variable costs. And again, let's draw a line here. And we know that again, that the ski guard is making $140. The golf guard makes $160. And the fishing guard makes the most at $200. So again, this is against CM, contribution margin. You can take a look. Now, we can say with confidence that if you have a plant and people are buying these, and they'll buy as many as you can make, well, then it'll always be, if you have the resources, it's better to make this one, the fishing guard. Again, that's the best one to make is the fishing guard. I don't know why that bugs me. I want to put all of it in green. Fishing guard is the best one to make. What's the second best one to make? The golf guard and then the ski guard. But that is relative to the fact that your plant has all the capacity it needs, and people are demanding, again, that they want all three products. Now let's take a look. It does tell us that again, to make these, you're making these plastic cases, and they make them with an injection molder. That's again, and they make them with a plastic polymer. Plastic polymers are millions of little beads. they actually, guess what they're made out of? Oil. Everything's made out of oil. That's why oil is so valuable in our society. But they make these little plastic polymers out of oil. They put them in an injection molder, and then they go and use high-pressured air, compressed air, and they inject it into a mold and make these things. Well, anyway, it says to, again, the time it takes on the injection molder to make a ski guard is 2 minutes. The time it makes to make a golf guard is 5 minutes. And the time to make a fishing guard is 4 minutes. Now, what are the amount of materials? Well, the plastic pellets, those are the polymers. You know, they're long chains of oil. But anyway, usually carbon. But the pounds of plastic pellets per unit, they need 7 pounds to make a ski guard, 4 pounds to make a golf guard, and 8 pounds to make a fishing guard. Well, now, I want you to remember that the assumption is we have plenty of these. What I mean is, what I'm saying is, do you see that all this is in these, the minutes and the pounds, they're in these variable costs. In other words, all this information is incorporated in the 60 and the 140 and the 55. What I'm saying to you is all the minutes that it takes and all the pounds, this is, after all that, we make $140. So if you've got plenty of minutes and plenty of pounds, you'll make the most money with selling fishing guards. Relative to, again, the commonality or the common assumption, which is a valid assumption, you got ample capacity. But it says, if we assume, and this is requirement 1, and you know that's what they're going to change, they're going to say, what if you're running out? If we assume that the total time available on the plastic injection molding machine is the constraint in the production process, how much contribution margin per minute of the constrained resources earned by each product? All right, that's a long question, but let me do this. I think this really will demonstrate to you the nature of constraint. Let's again say that you're at the end of a day, and you've got, I don't know, let's look up there, you got 10 minutes left. And let's again say that you can sell as many of all of these as you want. But you got 10 minutes left, and then the shift ends, and that's it. And somebody walks up to you and says, what should I make in the last 10 minutes? Well, let's just take a look. In 10 minutes, how many can you make of the fishing guards? You can make 2 of them, right? So let's write over here. If you can make 2 of these fishing guards with 10 minutes left, you can get what? 2 of these times 200, that's $400 you'll get. But what if you said, well, on this one, in 10 minutes, I can make how many in 10 minutes? I can make 2 of these in 10 minutes, so I can get 2 of these. 2 times 160 is $320. Well, that's pretty good. But look over here. If you only have 10 minutes left of production time, and you can sell as many of these as you make, well, in 10 minutes, you can make 5 of these. 5 of these times 140 is $700. Look what just happened. Which one should you make? If you have a constrained, you only got 10 minutes. And you know at the end of the day, in that 10 minutes, what are you going to do to maximize your profitability? You got 10 minutes left of shift. Well, if you make 5 of these, you'll do what? You'll sell them all. And you'll make $700. So we just proved with a 10-minute example that, again, if time is a constraint, you should make the one that takes the least time, because you can sell more of them in that environment. So that's what the author's trying to get at. And I don't think it's as actually, I know this sounds arrogant, but I don't think it's as easy as my example. Again, my example just says, if you really, let's take it. Say all you got is 10 minutes. But do you see, again, in any given day, you might only have so much time. And if you can sell all that you can of those, and that time is your limiting factor, then everything's changed. This no longer applies. 200, this ranks first, this ranks second, this ranks third. But now what happens? This ranks first. The ski guard's the best. The second best is the fishing guard, and the third is the golf. It throws it all out of, in other words, what's the most profitable product? It depends. It's relative to your constrained resource. It really is. How much profit can you make given a constraint? In this case, it says now, in number 1, they want us to pretend that, again, the constraint is time. Well, we can quantify this by just saying, let's take the money we make and divide it by time. Get the contribution per increment in time. So 1, we can answer that. And this is exercise, what was this, 12-5. And this deals with constraints. Well, let's just do 1. We can say, all right, we have the ski guard, and we have the golf guard, and we have the fishing. And we know that the contribution margin is 140, 160, and 200. That's what we make. we make, every time we sell a ski guard, we make $160. With a golf guard, we make, oops, I think I just did that wrong. The golf guard makes $160. The fishing, I would actually call it luggage. I wouldn't call it a guard. It's luggage to me. That's really what these are. They use them for luggage. I bought one for a bicycle once, and I ruined it, to tell you the truth. I crushed it by accident. This is $140. After that, I just disassembled my bike, and I put it in all different big suitcases and take it. And then I wouldn't have to pay a fee. I don't know if I can get away with that now because they, anyway. All right, so there's our contribution margin. This is it, contribution margin. First, second, third. Now let's take a look and say, well, if time is your constraint, let's divide by minutes and get the contribution part per minute. Well, again, let's put minutes. And this one only takes 2 minutes. This one takes, I think, 5, and this one takes 4, doesn't it? Yeah, 2, 5, and 4. All right, let's divide these. That's going to be $70. You make a contribution margin of $70 for every minute. Here you make a contribution margin of, here you make 25 bucks, don't you? 25? 4 times? No, 50. That's 5, yeah, I think it's 50 bucks. And then this one, how much is that? 5 times 10, 5 times 10, 5 times 20. Yeah, that's going to be 32, isn't it? 32? Okay, I think that's right. Let me double check that. We're looking 12.5. Okay. Yeah, 70, 32. Oh, I did get that one. I should double that. 70, 32, and 50. Yeah. 4 times, yeah, that's right. All right, this is your contribution. In other words, if time is a limiting factor, if I'm going to run out of time, with this one I'll make $70 every time I work a minute. This one I'll work what? These, by the way, are minutes. This one I'll make only $32 every time I work a minute, and this one I'll make $50. So now I can say that really, in terms of profitability in given time, I can say my preference is now, again, first, second, third. Whereas it used to be what? First, second, third. So things are changing. So what do they ask us in this? If we assume blah, blah, blah. How much contribution margin per minute of the constrained resources earned by each product? That is the answer. Here is the contribution margin. This is CM per minute. And the minutes are the constrained resource. And that's your answer in part 1. Right? What do they want us to do here in part 2? In part 2, which product offers the most profitable use of the plastic injected molding machine? All right, now the molding machine, we just answered that, didn't we? Yeah, because we're the plastic injection molding machine. Oh, they just want us to, I guess, answer this. All right, let's go back and answer this. 2. Which one does? The ski. Again, the ski guard. The ski guard, let's go ahead and look at the question. Which product offers the most profitable use? Okay, the ski guard offers the most profitable use of the injection molders available time. The ski guard offers the most profitable use of the injection molders available time. I really, if I was going to write that longer to my boss, I actually would put these in there. I'd say the ski guard offers 70, and that really would be a better answer. So the ski guard offers, I'd say $70 per minute. The ski guard offers $70 per minute, and then I could say which is the most profitable use of the injection molders time. So that might be a little better answer. That's 2. Let's go down to 3. I'm going to move that. I think I cut that off. I'm not so sure you can see everything over there, can you? Yeah, let's just back that up a little bit. Now you can see everything. 3. If we assume that a severe shortage of plastic pellets, those are polymers, plastic pellets are actually polymers, and they're plastic polymers, has required the company, if we assume that there's a severe shortage of plastic pellets, that really can happen. Again, oil can become an extremely rare, and you might not be able to get it. Remember, they make plastic pellets out of oil. And again, it says there's a shortage of these pellets, and it requires the company to cut back its production so that its new constraint has become the plastic pellets or polymers. How much contribution margin per pound of constrained resource? Well, let me do it again, what I just did a minute ago. Let's pretend you're at the end of a production run, and you only have 10 pounds. You only have 10 pounds of pellets. Let's just go do some simple math. Yeah, it's the end of a production run, you only got 10 pounds. By the way, I don't think you can see my examples over there. That's one thing that they're cut off. Let me swing over here like this. Got 10 pounds. If you only have 10 pounds, that's all you've got left. It's the end of a production run. How much can you make with a fishing garden? You can make one. If you make one of these, you'll get $200. These got cut off earlier. Sorry about that. Well, how many can you make of the golf cart? Well, if you got 10 pounds, you can make two of these. 2 times 160 is 320. If you got 10 pounds, how many can you make of the ski guard? Well, you can only make one, so you're 140. So again, do you see again, instead of trying to just do this calculation, just trying to think, what if I only had so much time? If I really say I only got so much time and that's it. And by the way, if you're running out of time and you can produce as much as you want, this is true. If you might say, well, Chuck, your example, you're only using 10 minutes. But if I use all the hours in a day, but the problem is I'm maxed out. My plan is mixed. I have no more time to make more. What should I make? If time, or in this case, pounds, if I'm running out of pounds, then I should really. And not only that, my battery's low. Now we'll see how long it'll go. See if I can finish this. Okay, 3, they want to know, again, the contribution margin per pound. All right, the contribution margin per pound. Let's go back and get the contribution margin. It's 140, 160, and 200. So the contribution margin, again, let's go with a ski. This is the golf. And this is the fishing. And again, we had, what was it? 140, 160, and 200. Was that right? 140, 160, and 200. Let's divide those by the pounds. How much pounds does it take? And in this case, it takes 7 pounds, 4 pounds, and 8 pounds. Well, let's divide this and we'll get a contribution margin per pound. And that's going to be what? $20? 7 into 140 is 2. 4 times 4, that's going to be $40 per pound. And I don't know what that is. 8 times 25, is that right? 25? 8 times a quarter is 200? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so there it is. This is we would label this is the contribution margin per pound. And again, let me double check, because like I said, my battery's running low. Okay, I'll have to switch out batteries. But it asks, what is the contribution margin per pound? Well, it is 20, 40, 25. And this will tell you that, again, once again, this is all changed. Now, relative to having limitations on our plastic, the best one to make in this case is what? The golf, the golf luggage. It's $40. So again, it used to be that the fish was best. Then the golf, then the ski. Now, it's the golf is the best, fish is second best, and the ski luggage is third. Anyway, that's the answer to 3. The contribution margin per pound. I got to change out this battery. It shows it going dead. Got a new battery in it. Let's see what they want to know now. 4, which product offers the most profitable use of plastic pellets? Well, let's move over to the other side and answer that. I'll change the camera angle in just a minute. I know you can't see over here. Let's swing it back. Got to get some clean board space. All right, which product offers the most profitable use of plastic pellets? You remember just a minute ago what we saw? We saw that again, when we wasn't at the golf cart. Let me go back and look. I know you might not be able to see, but again, I have the golf cart did. Let's see if I can write a little better answer. The golf guard offers the most, what do they want to say here? Offers the most profitable use of plastic pellets. The golf guard offers the most profitable use of plastic, P-E-L-L-E-T-S, at, and we figured out earlier at $40 per pound of plastic pellets. If I was writing to my boss, I'd actually say more. I'd say the golf cart offers the most profitable use of plastic pellets at $40 per pound of plastic pellets. I'd actually say followed by, I guess we found out that the fish, followed by the fishing guard, and lastly, is lastly a word? Lastly, the ski guard. Ski guard. So that's a little better answer. The golf cart offers the most profitable use of the plastic pellets at $40 per pound of plastic pellets. I probably actually think that's a little bit redundant. That's how I really write it right there. The golf cart offers the most profitable use of plastic pellets at $40 per pound, comma, followed by the fishing guard, and lastly the ski guard. Not actually in real life put the pounds, the pound cost, in there. All right, 5. It does ask us which product has the largest contribution margin per unit and why. Or hold it, which one has one? Let's answer that. 5. The fishing guard has the highest contribution margin at $200 per unit. So there's the answer to 5.1. The fishing guard has the highest contribution, $200 per unit. I'm getting that right there. Okay. That's what they asked for. Which product has the largest contribution? Why wouldn't this product be the most profitable use of the constrained resources in either case? Well, I guess that is the key question. The whole point of this is to show you that, again, profitability is relative to, again, it's in the first case, this is the best answer. If your plant has available capacity to make all 3 of these products and there's no constraint, then that is the best answer relative to having the capacity. Again, changing that, why, it says why wouldn't this product, why wouldn't the fishing guard offer the most profitable use? Well, there's been a change. Again, if you say relative to the fact that we now have a constrained resource, again, we now, this was most profitable relative to having the capacity, but now we don't. It's changed. And now what we have is we are limited by time, or in this case, we're limited by, again, the pounds of material. So if you say that something's only profitable relative to the constraints that you're dealing with. If you don't have any constraints, then you can simply just use, again, the existing information. But again, profitability is relative to what is a constraint. And in many cases, there are constraints. And this proves it. But how do we want to say that? Why wouldn't this product be the most profitable use of the constrained resource in either case? I'd say this is 5.5, and I'd say the fishing guard may not be the most profitable product if there is a constraint on any input. Now this is a little bit hard to understand. The fishing guard may not be the most profitable product if there is a constraint on any input. What do I mean by any input? The any input can be, again, a material. And any input, material. It can be labor. It can be machine time. And it can even be, it could be, even electricity, a variable overhead electric. Any of these, ... Again, the fishing guard may not be the most profitable product if there is a constraint on any input. And the inputs I'm talking about, material, labor, machine time, electricity, any of those. All right, that's this one down. 5, 12, 5. We only got 2 more left. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did we get them all? There's 1, 2, 3, and then that was 4 and 5, and 5 asked actually 2 questions. All right, we're getting close to being done here. Let me set up for another problem. Okay, starting on 12.6. 12.6 is another constrained resource problem. I wonder what 12.7 is. I can't remember. 12.7 was something different, I'm sure. Yeah, this is another constrained resource, 12.6. Again, this is this Portsmouth company makes furniture. And they're making upholstered furniture is one of its major product lines. It has a bottleneck. Bottleneck, it says. Bottleneck really is another word for a constraint. A bottleneck is something that reduces your throughput. Throughput is how much you can get done, how much you can get through a plant. You never want a constraint or a bottleneck. There's another slang name for them. They're called Herbies. I've heard that used. I think that comes from a book somewhere, maybe. But anyway, a Herbie is a bottleneck or a slow machine. But they got a bottleneck, and it is the time to do the upholstery. And that is actually hard to do. Upholstery is a pretty hard job. I've talked to a couple of friends who worked at a seat factory, and they said it was very difficult. Upholstering is a craft that takes years of experience. And the demand for upholstered furniture far exceeds, they've got a very good demand for this, far exceeds the company's capacity. In other words, they've got plenty of capacity in other respects. They can build the furniture, they can machine the furniture on wood lathes, they can assemble the furniture, but they are having troubles putting the fabric and the padding in. That's what's taking them a lot. Information concerning 3 of the company's upholstered chairs appears below. They got a recliner, all right. They got a sofa, hey, sofa. And they got a love seat. This is the stuff that we got cut off here again. All right, and it says the selling price per unit is $14, $18, and $1,500. The cost per unit, now remember what they mean by that. Cost per unit, this is again variable. It has direct materials in it, it has direct labor, it has variable overhead, and it has variable selling and administrative expense. This gives you, again, the contribution margin. If you take this has all the costs in it, all the costs except fixed. And if you do this, let's just go ahead and give it a contribution margin. On the recliner, we're making 14 minus 8, that's $600 in contribution margin. On the sofa, 18 and 2, that's $600 also. On the love seat, we're making $500. All right, so it looks to me like the love seat, once again, everything's relative in life, but given that we could make all of that we wanted, and there were no constraints, we could say the best is to make recliners and sofas, more of those, and the love seat would be your lowest priority. Because again, it makes less, for every time you sell one of them, you only make $500. If you sell the recliner or the sofa, you make $600. All right, it goes on to say that, again, let me see, the selling price, unupholstered. Oh, then it takes the upholstery shop, what's it take? It takes 8 hours to make, 8 hours to make a recliner, it takes 10 hours to make a sofa, and it takes 5 hours, again, to make a love seat. And I don't know what the questions are on this, but I'll guarantee you they have something to do with the time constraint. As you can see, now think about it. If you have a plant where you're not at capacity, and in that plant you can make all you want, well then you might not think that. You might think, oh Chuck, again, you can't make, you should never make this one because it takes 10 hours. But remember, the 10 hours has been incorporated into these computations. The 10 hours is in this. In other words, let's again say the 10 hours we're paying those men and women $30 an hour. That's $300, it's inside there. Let's say this is 8 times $30 an hour. That's $240, that's in there. And 5 times 600, it's in there. These hours are incorporated into these numbers. And they've taken that into account. And given the fact that they have to use way more time on the sofa, it still makes more money because you can sell it for more. So that information is there. Relative to having capacity available, you're fine selling the recliner and the sofa. But I'm sure they're going to say, and I can't see it, I cut it off, but they're going to say down here, what is the contribution margin per constrained resource? And let me read that. I don't want to go ahead and scroll down. Yeah, 12.6. It says, again, more time could be available in the upholstery shop. And they're asking again, they could get some men and women to work overtime in the upholstery shop. And it says, how much should we be willing to pay them? All right, they're basically saying in part 1, and let's put that, let's see, I got the camera angled over here. In part 1, and this is exercise 12-6, and this is part 1. They're saying to you, they're posing the question, what if we could pay men and women more time? How much would we be willing to pay them overtime? Well, again, and they ask it specifically for sofas. Why sofas? I don't know. Assuming that the extra time could be used to produce sofas. I guess sofa is one of their more profitable products. So they say, well, what if we paid overtime? Well, how much time would you be willing to pay? Let's see what our time is worth. Let's divide the money we make by the time it takes to make that money. So again, let's take and get the contribution per constrained resource. And let's do it for, what do we got? Recliner, sofa, love seat. Recliner, sofa, and love seat. Now, we're only asked to, again, focus on the sofa in this part, isn't it? I think they say just for the sofa, they want to know what would you pay for overtime. With a sofa, again, we sell it for $1,800, isn't that right? We spend $1,200 making it, so that's $600 in contribution margin, but then it takes us 10 hours. Remember, the 10 hours is in here. This is the selling price. This is the variable expense, which has the 10 hours in it. But the 10 hours, what does it take us to get the 600? It took us 10 hours. It's inside there. The money. This is the hours. But if you take 10, let's say it costs $30 an hour, 300 of this is labor. So 10 into 600, that is $60 an hour. We are making, every time we work one of these hours that's inside here, in money, we get $60 in contribution margin. We get $60 in contribution margin per hour. And that's per hour of upholstery. Isn't it? Yeah. All right. Now, their question is, how much could we pay for overtime? Well, we know we're making $600. we're making $600 and we make $60 for every hour, so we can afford to pay up to 60. Now, you might say, why would you pay up to 60? Well, maybe you get an order from a customer that you really like, good customer, and you're willing to not make money. If you really were willing to just break even, you'd go ahead and pay overtime of $60. So the answer to that is, again, the answer to 1, I'm still on 1, and I want to try and write the answer the way they've asked it. And how much would you be willing to pay? Well, I would say we would be willing to pay up to $60 per hour for overtime in the upholstery department. Now again, that may not seem really intuitive to you, at least, you know, if you work 60, if you do pay $60 overtime, you're not going to make any money, but you still might do it. Because again, you still may say, I got a great customer. Remember, your customers are these furniture stores. And you may have a furniture store that says, hey, I've been buying from you for years. I need this stuff. And you'd say, I don't care about making money. This is a good customer. I'm going to get it to them. I don't care if I make money. I'll pay $60 an hour to somebody to work that overtime. All right, what's part 2 on this? Oh, it says a small nearby upholstery company has approached you. Again, in part 2, it says you've got a small nearby upholstery company. And let me just talk to this. This is all part 1. This is the data for part 1. This $60 ties to that. But in part 2, they say you still have a shortage of time to do upholstery work. So you approach another small company, and they do upholstery work. And they basically say, we will do the upholstery work for you. Do you see you're going to subcontract this? You're going to say, you know what, I can build the furniture, I can make the furniture, but you know what, I'll take some of the furniture, move it a couple blocks away, and have them upholster it somewhere else. But you got to say, well, what can I pay for that? And they say, they just give you a bid, and they give you a bid of $45 per hour, and that's on the love seat. All right? So they say that they will upholster the love seat for $45 an hour. And what is the question? It says, will you make additional contribution margin? How much? Well, let's just go back and do that again. We can say, all right, they're asking us about the love seat. So let's go ahead and recap the love seat. We know that the love seat, we sell it for $1,500. We spend $1,000 to make it, ignoring fixed costs. So that's $500. We know if we divide that by the hours, it takes 5 hours to make it. So that gives us $100 in contribution margin per hour of upholstery time. So that's what we make. All right, now they've approached us and said, you're going to take this and you're not going to upholster it anymore. You're going to go ahead and you're going to send it down the street to be upholstered somewhere else. Well, if you do that, you would go down the street and you'd say, all right, let's say I make $100 on this every hour, and if I spend $45 having them upholster it, I will make $55 per hour. So the answer is you will have $55 of incremental contribution margin. Or you could say profit if you wanted to. But the answer again is you have $55 of incremental contribution margin because you're making $100 per upholstery hour. You're going to spend $45 again to get this, so you'll just have $55 left over. I'll tell you the truth, there's a flaw in this problem. I don't know if you care about it, but you'd make more than that actually. Because do you see that if you go back to this, you see that this $1,000 that it costs you to make it has, again, the 45 in it. I think there is a flaw in there. That, you know, somewhere in the 1,000 is the cost of the labor, so you've got to remove that. So the author does have a flaw in this. This is the answer for the answer manual, I'm almost positive. But like I said, there's a flaw in that problem. You know, again, you have to think, well, yeah, I'm getting 100, it'll cost me 45, but it really won't, it'll cost you 45, but you're gonna make even more because it won't cost you 1,000 anymore. Because you'll get rid of your, that includes upholstery in it. You gotta pull the upholstery out of that. If you can't see that, don't worry about it, I won't test you on it. That's 2, let's see what they say in 3. Should Portsmouth hire the nearby upholstery company? Explain. Well, let me shift over to the other side of the board. And I think you're going to say, yeah, why not? Should they hire it? Let's just say, what's their name? Yeah, let's say, this is part 3, Portsmouth. I don't think they call it Portsmouth, is probably how they pronounce it, Portsmouth. Portsmouth should hire the, and I don't know if they give us a name for that upholstery company. Yeah, let's just call it, Portsmouth should hire the outside, that's not the name, but it's outside the company, the outside upholstery to upholster and didn't we do the analysis for the love seat? To upholster the love seats. And I always just like to use a semicolon, upholster the love seats, then just say, they will increase the contribution margin, I'm going to abbreviate that, and we already said that, I don't know if you can't see it over here, but it's $55 per hour. The contribution margin per hour by $55. That's the answer to 3. And that's the answer to this. This is another constrained resource. So again, let me just do one more of my simple analogies that I think makes it easier to understand this. You're at the end of the shift, and you're making all you can make. And I walk up to you and say, you know what, we're at the end of the shift, and you know what we got? Let's say we're the 3rd shift of the day. There's 3 shifts. Where the first shift is run, the second shift is run, the 3rd shift is again the shift, I think it runs from like midnight to 8 in the morning, or 11 at night till 8 in the morning. Anyway, it's 3rd shift. 3rd shift is running, and you say, you know what, we got 3rd shift. And 3rd shift, let's say we can run for 10 hours in the 3rd shift. All right, in 10 hours, what can you make? In 10 hours, you can make what? 1 sofa, that's $600. In 10 hours, you can make 2 love seats. Well, $600, if you can make 2 love seats, you'll get 1,000, you see? How many recliners can you make in 10 hours? You can only make 1. So you can make 600, you can make 600, or you can make 1,000. Well, you're going to go make your least profit, you're going to make the love seat, because you can make 2 love seats in 10 hours. Do you see again, once again, profitability is relative to your constraint. Profitability is relative to your constraint. In this case, your constraint, again, determines, I don't know, my camera just went off, but again, let me just recap that. I don't know where. Again, let's say we're on the 3rd shift. We have 10 hours left. What should you make? In 10 hours, you can make 1 sofa. In 10 hours, you can make 1 recliner. That's $600 or $600. But in 10 hours, you can make 2. Because these take 5 hours, you can take 2 love seats. 2 love seats times 500, that's 1,000. This, your love seat, is your most profitable product relative to time. But if time's not a constraint, you should not make love seats. You should make sofas and recliners. Remember, all this is inside these dollar numbers. All the 8, the money for 8 hours is inside that. The money for 10 is inside that. The money for 5 is inside that. All right, this one's done. We've got to do one more, and then we'll wrap up this chapter. Last problem in chapter 7, or chapter 12. Chapter 12 is problem 7. It's on page 593, and this is an interesting one, seller process further. This is again one where, some of the more difficult industries, when I say difficult, again, if you're taking a pig and going to take it and sell it as a whole, or do you sell it in parts? or if you're taking a cow and you decide to sell it in parts, or if you're taking oil and you decide, can I sell this oil, how far do I process it? Do I just refine it and get it into crude oil, or or get it into motor oil, or do I process it further into gasoline and Vaseline and jet fuel? These actually problems are common. Is it worth? The issue is, once again, you're going to have incremental is relevant. Remember, this whole chapter is about relevant and irrelevant costs. You're going to compare your incremental processing costs to your incremental processing revenues and see, is it worth it to take a cow and cut it up, or should you just sell the whole cow? Or should you take a pig and leave it the way it is, or should you take the pig and cut it up into parts? Is it worth more? Well, in this one, we're dealing with oil. This is Dorsey Company manufactures 3 products from a common input, and the input is oil. And again, they're making A. It's they make. Let me see. This is Vaseline. I don't know how to spell Vaseline. Vaseline. Okay, Vaseline. They make Vaseline out of oil. This is really true. They do make Vaseline out of oil. Let's again say they make grease. You know what? I don't think I like that. Vaseline, grease. I don't know. They make those 2 things really out of oil. And let's again say, let's say the grease is this. And let's say these are going to be per pound. These are plastic. Plastic polymers. All right. And the common thing, they're using oil to make this. And this is a true real-life example. They do use oil. And they make Vaseline. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's change this to not per gallon. Let's change the Vaseline. Plastic polymers, $8 per pound per gallon. Let's do this one, asphalt. They make all 3 of these things out of oil. So, when they make Vaseline, they sell it by the pound. When they make plastic polymers, they sell them by the pound. When they make asphalt, they sell it per gallon. It's a black, gooey substance that they mix with rock. What do they call that stuff? Crushed rock. Anyway, they mix it with crushed rock, and you know what they make. They make driveways out of it. Anyway, this problem deals with, well, we've got these 3 products. By the way, they've already got these. It says again, this is a processing operation, and they have Vaseline, plastic polymers, and asphalt, and they got $350,000 of cost to get it to this point. So in other words, they can sell it right now. They can sell all these for $350,000. All right. Now, what did it cost them? All right. Well, let's take $16. Again, they've got 16 times 15. I think that's $240,000. That's what it cost them to get them to this point. 20 times 8, I think that's 160, isn't it? That's $160,000. And then 25 times 4, that's $100,000. And this is what they can sell it for. So what is that? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 4, 500. They can sell it for $500,000. This is everything they've got right now. They've got, again, 15,000 pounds of Vaseline, 20,000 pounds of plastic polymers, 4,000 gallons of asphalt. They made that out of oil. They spent $350,000 on it. Now, they can sell it right now for $500,000, but they want to know, should they process it further? If they process the Vaseline, the plastic polymers, and the asphalt further, they might be able to turn it into jet fuel, propane, butane, kerosene. Again, they could process oil further and get it again to, if they heat it to higher extremes, they can get a more refined product. Oh, and gasoline. You can get gasoline, jet fuel, all those things. So that's what they're wondering. Should we process these further to these other substances? Then they say, to process it further, we're going to have to spend $63,000 on the Vaseline, $80,000 on the polymers, and $36,000 on the asphalt. And let's say if they process these, they're trying to get them, they're going to change the Vaseline into, let's say, gasoline. And they're going to change the plastic polymers into, let's say, I don't know, let's say plastic sheets. they're going to go a little bit further and actually make them. And the asphalt, they're going to change that into actually motor oil. With more processing, they can change these. This was all the truth. That's a bit of a lie. You really can't take these and process them further and get those. You know, that's as far as you can go once you take oil. But let's just pretend that for this sake they can take these all and make them into these better products. And these aren't better. But if they do that, to change Vaseline to gasoline, they got to spend $63,000. To get plastic polymers to plastic sheets, they got to spend $80,000. And motor oil, they got to spend $36,000. Do you guys see that what's relevant? These are what? These are incremental. Let me use red because they're money being spent. These are incremental costs. And they're asking, if we go ahead and process these, we're going to spend $63,000, $80,000 and $36,000. Well, the issue is, what will we make? Here's the selling price per pound. But hold it, that's the selling price. You could have sold it for $16. Now you can sell it for $20. Well, that's $4 more. So let's just do this. Let's take 20 minus 16. Let's take 13. We can get 13 now for plastic sheets versus 8 before. So let's take the 13 that we could get before. Whoops, the 13 we can get now. We could have gotten 8. And by the way, do you see what I'm doing? These are incremental costs. I'm getting the incremental revenue. This is what we did. We could get 16, but now we can get 20. 20 minus 16, that's the incremental revenue. It's going to be 4. 13 minus 8, there's my incremental revenue. Incremental costs. Incremental means the change in something, and that's usually what you want to focus on 9 times out of 10 to make a decision. $32 a gallon is what they can get for motor oil. They could have got $25 a gallon for asphalt. So let's take the incremental. $32 is what they can get now, but they could have gotten $25, and that incremental is, to again process this to gasoline, we'll get $4. To process this further, we'll get 13 minus 8. That's 5, isn't it? Yeah. 32 minus 25 is 7. So this is our incremental revenue. And we're going to take that times what? How many pounds we got. And I'm assuming that they didn't give us any different pounds, so let's go back and take it times these pounds. I mean, do you see what we've got here? We've got the total incremental costs. This is the per gallon and per pound incremental revenue. So we got to get them on the same basis. This is total incremental cost. This is per pound. Let's get it back to the total basis. Let's take this times 15,000. Let's take this times 20 and 4, times 20. Let's take this times 4. And then we'll have our incremental revenue. 4 times 15 is $60,000. 5 times 20 is $100,000. That's our incremental revenue. 7 times 4, is that right? 4 times 7, is that all we're going to get? That's only 28,000. So here is our incremental revenue, but this is, over here I have total incremental revenue. So now I have the total incremental revenue, I have the total incremental expenses. Do you see what I can do with it? Now I can really figure out, is it worth to process this further? I'm just making sure I'm going to tilt this just a little bit more because I'm going to move over. And they're going to ask me in this one, what is the financial advantage of processing these further? From going from Vaseline to gasoline, from plastic polymers to plastic sheets, from asphalt to motor oil. Well, let's take a look at it. We'll say again, on product, let's just label this as number 1. And we've got product A, B, and C. And we know that the incremental revenue, let's take it first. The incremental revenue is $60,000, $100,000, and $28,000. Let's write that. That's incremental revenue. And let's take and subtract from that incremental costs. And they gave us the incremental costs, 63, 80, and 36. And this will equal what they call a financial advantage or disadvantage. So let's take a look. Again, 60 minus 63, we're going to lose, whoops, it's not 6 we're going to lose. That's pretty bad. We're going to lose $3,000 on that. That's a disadvantage, right? Okay, 100 minus 80, this one's going to give us a financial advantage of 20,000. This one we should process further. 28 minus 36, that's not a good deal, is it? That's 6, 7, 8, you're going to lose $8,000 in that. So this is a disadvantage, disadvantage, advantage. So that's the answer to 1. And again, I believe, let me see, isn't that what they asked? Number 1, what is the financial advantage of further processing each of these 3 products beyond the split-off point? Well, there they are. The financial advantage is disadvantage, advantage, disadvantage. These are all your answers. Okay. Now B, they do have a B in this problem. I'll just read it to you. Yeah. Based on our analysis, which products should be processed further? All right, well, what do you think? There's only one of them. Do you see it? Based on our analysis, which should we process further? Let's just say the same thing. Based upon our analysis, only product B, remember what product B was? Plastic polymers. Only product B, the plastic polymers, should be processed further. I always again like to just put a colon, semicolon, I mean, based upon our analysis, only product B, the plastic polymers, should be processed further. That's a P, so that's not a very good P, but that's good. Should be processed further. The financial advantage will be $20,000. That would be my answer to that. Based upon our analysis, only product B, the plastic polymer, that's this one, should be processed further. The financial advantage will be $20,000. Whoops. Anyway, that is the answer to this one. Sell or process further. These are very common in our society, especially in the farming industry. Many farmers have to decide, again, if they, you grow corn, maybe again, should they have the corn turned into, should they go ahead and let it be turned into some other product? Especially they might be able to make ethanol, or corn can be used in a lot. Beans, they make beans into a lot of things. A lot of the plants that buy corn and beans, they can process them further and further and further to make different products. Again, the farming and agricultural industry deal with these all the time. Do we go ahead and just take the beans and sell them out raw in the open market, or should we again process them further and make more money? But always the issue is future costs, and future costs that are different, that again change out in the future. You see, this is the future cost out in the future. This is a future revenue. So we're going to look at those two. We're not going to go back and look at the 350. The 350 doesn't matter. It's a sunk cost. And really, neither does the old selling price. It matters just to get the increment. But you have to look and really see what we're doing. In every case we've worked, we've looked at, the bottom line is we've always found costs that are different. They're future costs, and they are different between, again, the two alternatives. Again, in this case, we can usually find the right answer. All right, this concludes chapter 12. Then we'll move on to chapter 13, which I think is the capstone of the course. Chapter 13 is really a great chapter. I don't know if you'll like it or not, but I think it's the best chapter in the book, and I hope we have time to cover it well. All right, I'll sign off.